You already know that you need protein. I've talked about how protein is essential for muscle toning, metabolism, hormonal health, glucose levels. And on a recent episode, Dr. Aaron Stokes talked about how getting in consistent protein is also crucial to lower your cortisol. Especially as a vegetarian, I rely on a clean protein powder. My favorite by far is the protein powder from Clean Simple Eats. This is not your average scoop. It's made with 100% grass-fed whey protein isolate and sweetened with stevia and monk fruit, aka zero artificial anything. And it's the first protein powder that didn't cause bloat or digestive issues for me because it also contains a digestive enzyme, which not only boosts my digestion, but also helps my body absorb the protein. I like to mix the Simply Vanilla flavor into my afternoon latte. It's giving creamy, frothy, and 20 grams of protein that actually tastes like a treat. The cake batter flavor is also to die for. I add a scoop of it with some melted chocolate and coconut milk, and all I do is just stir it all together. And it tastes like the best mousse you've ever had in your life. Try it for yourself with code EVERYGIRL20 for 20% off your first order at cleansimpleeats.com. I'm warning you right now, you will want every flavor.
Why does making friends as an adult feel so
What
hard?
should I wear on a first
What the
date?
hell is a formal?
But that
Why
hookup
is
was
buying my
not
first
good.
home so
What do I want my
frustrating?
life to look like in 5 years?
We want to know too.
Since 2012, The Everygirl has been an online destination to help women around the world achieve the life of their dreams. Now, we're excited to bring you the same inspiring content with the Everygirl podcast.
Welcome back to the Everygirl podcast for our special Ask the Everygirl segment where you submit a question and we give you some advice. But it's not just me today, you guys. I am joined by Everygirl editor McKenna Pringle. She is back on the podcast. McKenna, welcome back.
I'm obviously excited to be back, as always. Gabbing with Josie is like my favorite thing in the world. So I'm so sad and ready for today. I kind of forget, for better or worse, like halfway through when we've done these, I'm like, oh, this is like fully recording. That's like going into like the public eye. Like I'll be starting to like rant about something and I'm like, oh shit, this is a public entity. Like, oh my God. Because I just
Oh, shoot.
rolled it with you. Yeah.
That's like what we want. I mean, I don't want you to like publicly humiliate yourself, but I want you to be like, oh yeah, I forget. It really is such a hard thing that took me up until now to like start getting comfortable with. So I give you a lot of credit.
Thank you. I give you all the credit in the world. I feel like it's kind of that thing of when people say, oh, like, I don't want kids. Like, I just want to be the fun aunt and I can just kind of show up when I want and have a good time and leave. That's how I feel with this. I do not know how you do this like multiple times a week. I would be like so in my head about it, but now I just get to pop in here and talk about like a funny like Ask the Everygirl and then leave, which is a great time. And I'm glad that it's been going well every time I've done it. But you show up and show out consistently every single time. So my queen always.
Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging my pain. I appreciate that.
Obviously.
No, you are the fun aunt of the podcast. It's so true. How do you feel? Because I'm also just thinking about this now. So we get a question that's about something that I'm like, I don't think I'm the right person to talk about this part of dating or something. And so how do you feel that you're like my token Gen Z dating correspondent? How do you feel about that? Are you okay with that?
I'm totally okay with that. I am honored, if anything. I mean, obviously you think of dating and you're like, okay, like it's not that deep. But I think in today's world, it is kind of that deep and there's so much you can talk about with it. So the fact that this is my third time, I feel like we have barely scratched the surface in a lot of ways. And so I'm very honored that you keep asking me like back to talk about it. And hey, if part of my brand has to become like the resident single Gen Z person on Snap, I'll take it. Call it like it is. I'm not going to act like I'm not. So I'll own the title. And then maybe one day I'll get on here and be like, can't be the single one anymore.
Yeah,
and that'll be cool. Well, we'll get a cake for that one.
No, I'll still want you on. You have such great opinions. You just have like great perspective on love and dating and relationships. And I'm like, get this bitch a mic.
Literally, shut up. I'm blushing. People are going to see that I'm like sweating. Like,
You're blushing. Am I making you excited?
I'm a little bit, I'm flattered. And so I'm like, you in the face. Yeah, I love talking about it, and you make it very easy to talk about as the pro. You always prompt me with the right questions.
Shall we dive into this week's question then? Because this one
Let's
is a
yeah.
good one. And especially for this one, I was like, okay, McKenna's going to have some good insight. Because
Oof.
again, I haven't been in the dating world, I hate to say it, for like 8 years.
No, you love to
That's
say it.
sad for
You
me.
love to say it, and I'm really happy for you because if anyone's listened to me talk about this before, it is a bit trenches. So congratulations that you do not have to rough it through that.
But I empathize. I empathize.
Thank you. She stands with us.
I stand with you. I'm an ally. Okay.
Thank God. That you
All
are what
right.
we need. You are what we need. Yeah.
Okay. This listener's question is, I would love some advice on how to deal with the emotional toll of dating and being ghosted. I've just recently gone back into dating after years of no dates and trying hard to work on myself. The first guy I went out with ghosted, and it's been mentally hard. Ghosting. Okay, that's a topic.
Oh. Ghosting, capital G. Wow.
Capital G. First question.
Okay.
And then we'll get into like the answer for her. But I'm curious, we all have the expectation that like ghosting is bad, right? Is there any situation where you are choosing to ghost people intentionally, or like that's across the board not good?
Okay. Me personally, I stand with the idea that ghosting is bad, period. You would be surprised how many people think it's not bad to do and that it's like pretty justified a lot of the time. I think that some people have different definitions of it, maybe. For me personally, I've had scenarios where I have like matched with someone on a dating app and we're kind of talking on the app and then I'm just bored by it and I stop responding. That's not ghosting. My
Right.
thing with ghosting is like if you have met in real life, at that point, ghosting should not happen, like from that point forward. But a lot of people
Distinction.
actually either A, don't agree with that, or B, think that their situations or like specific scenarios are like exceptions. Like, of course, yeah, ghosting is bad, but like this happened though, so it's justified. No type of clean, hey, loved meeting you, but I wasn't really like feeling the vibe. Nothing at all. There's just no follow up or just a random like drop off and they just stop reaching out to you. I would say that's like the general definition of ghosting.
To not have that clarity has got to be so freaking frustrating.
Very frustrating. As the resident Gen Z single date person at this point, I'll be candid. Speaking from personal experience, I have been ghosted before on multiple occasions, and pretty much all of my friends have too. And if it's just one date and someone just like doesn't text you afterwards, of course, it's one date. It's not that big of a deal. I can pick up the vibe of like, okay, like they weren't into it, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, if it was just one date, why is it such a stressor on you to send like a really simple text? I don't need your life story and explanation as to why you weren't into it, but just literally just a simple, hey, great meeting you, wasn't feeling it, wish you the best. Anything in that realm, I just don't see why that's a big deal to send it all. I've
Yeah.
done that to people. I also will admit when I first kind of started like actively dating people, I did that to people a couple times and I just wouldn't respond to them after a first date. I'll admit it, hands in the air. So like, but now I'm at a point where I'm like, I would never do that to somebody just because, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's just a first date. But at the same time, it's not a big deal. It's just one simple text saying that, like, hey, not the vibe.
I think a lot of people, I want to say hide behind, and I don't necessarily mean in every case they're hiding behind, but I think a lot of people go with it makes me feel really bad to send the text and let them know that I'm not interested. So I'm not going to do it because I feel so bad. I think people almost like to themselves hide behind that as an excuse. But like we all know deep down to get a text being like, hey, so enjoyed our time together, but for whatever reason, like I see us more as friends or whatever.
Mhm.
That is so much better. Even if that hurts and you feel that rejection, that is so much better than the wondering of, well, should I give up on them? Should I reach out to them? What should I do? Are they interested? Are they not? It's so much better to receive the text than to not.
Mhm.
And we all know that. So I think that when people do say, I feel too bad to send the text, so I just won't say anything, that feels very like cowardly of like you're just trying to tell yourself that it's compassion to make yourself feel better. But it really, we know that that would feel worse.
Yeah, exactly like you said. I think it's a big coward thing. I think it's a maturity thing. an accountability thing, a scapegoat thing, like whatever you want to call it. It's just like very like twisty to me to do that. It's a lot easier to just not say anything and like they'll get the vibe and I don't want to hurt their feelings by telling them I didn't like them. Well, by not saying anything, you're already hurting someone's feelings and you're sending them on a spiral, especially if it's like the first couple times, like it's never happened to you before or something like that. Of course, you're gonna wander down the rabbit hole of like, what did I do wrong? Like, should I text them? Oh my God, did I do something so bad to the point where they don't want to talk to me anymore? And I think that a big thing in dating that a lot of people forget is that there's a huge difference between feelings and behaviors. Part of the scary thing with dating is that you're putting yourself out there and it is so hard pill to swallow, but it's so okay for people to not like you. Like you're gonna meet a lot of people that don't like you. That sounds kind of harsh, like not like you, but just don't feel like I'm like, wait, maybe
Yeah.
I shouldn't word this.
Because it's a numbers game. Compatibility has nothing to do with how hot you are, fun you are, cool you are, whatever. It
Exactly.
has everything to do with, do you two click? And there are
Mhm.
so many reasons. And sometimes it's like, thank God I don't click with that person. It
Exactly.
makes it more special when you do find a connection, because if you had compatibility with everyone and everyone liked you, then it'd be like, why am I going to be with this one person if everybody else out there, like you kind of want it to be like, oh, there's only so few people in the world that I like and that like me back. That's
Mhm.
what makes our relationship so special. So just to like
Exactly.
further your point, it's not only normal, but it's actually a good thing that not everybody's going to like you.
Exactly. Yeah. If every single person that you went on a date with really, really, really felt a click with you logistically and numbers wise, like doesn't make sense.
I
But
would think in that case, you're like not really being
yeah, then at that
full
point, like, are you really
yourself.
being yourself? That's
Yeah.
reason for another day. But
Yeah.
I think when it comes to like feelings and dating, people are so entitled to feel however they want to feel. If they are not feeling a click with you for whatever reason it may be, that is totally valid. And of course, it's okay if it like hurts your feelings a little bit, like especially if you're feeling them and then they're like, hey, like I see you as more of a friend or I don't really see this going anywhere. Of course, you're allowed to feel a little bit bummed out by that, but that's just kind of the name of the game. But it's how they go about behaving with how they feel. That is when it kind of gets into like, okay, well, you're not entitled to do that. And that's kind of where ghosting is for me. Like, it's totally okay if you don't want to go on another date with me, if you're not feeling the vibe, but it doesn't justify you just like not ever saying anything about it ever again.
Totally.
You're entitled to feel how you feel, but you need to behave as if you're still respecting and interacting with another person.
Obviously, it's, like, so hurtful to get ghosted, but I almost would look at it like, thank God I dodged a bullet, because if someone's reaching out to be like, "I so enjoyed our time together, but I don't really see a spark there," whatever, that would hurt a little more of like, "Oh, what a nice person to be honest with me, and it just isn't working for them," whatever. Then, like, if someone ghosts, I'm like, "What an immature asshole." I dodged a bullet if they're capable of just so carelessly ghosting.
Mhm.
I dodged a bullet. They showed their true colors. Ghosting obviously has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the other person's maturity. It has to do with their capacity. It has to do with like their inability to face discomfort. All really bad traits of a partner. So I'd be like,
Mhm.
okay, thank God.
I 100% agree. It says so much more about them than it does about you. And I know that every dating interaction I've had where I'm the one to say, like, hey, like, I'm not really feeling this, whatever. Pretty much every time that I have done that, it has been met with something along the lines of, like, thank you for being honest. Like, I really appreciate that. And every time someone has done that to me, I always start with, like, thank you for telling me. Like, I really appreciate that because that's just the decent human thing to do. And when you go into ghosting, like you were saying, it shows that you're a bit of a coward and don't really know how to properly communicate, which is one of the biggest red flags in dating and trying to find someone to be in a relationship with. Like, if you can't baseline communicate, then like that's not someone that you want to be with, anyways. Unfortunately, this does happen where ghosting progresses past the first couple of dates. Like, you can be in pretty deep with a person and they can still ghost you. I feel like that feels even more hurtful because you feel like you've established some sort of like rapport with a person or you know them like a little bit better than just beyond a first date. When it goes to that extent, it feels way more hurtful. But I would argue that that's even more telling of like, wow, you really don't want to be with that person. Because if they're okay of like establishing some type of relationship with you and then can still clean ghost, like no explanation, I don't want to explain to you how I'm feeling, then like you dodged a fucking bullet. like,
A
like a huge one.
100%.
Yeah,
It kind of is a blessing in disguise.
totally.
I have a good ghosting story because, and this is like a lot more intense than the ghosting story that this listener's writing in with, but my ex-boyfriend ghosted me after years of dating,
Yeah.
which was crazy. It was
Weird.
like so devastating. I mean, we had been like, this was like my high school boyfriend. We'd been dating for a few years during high school. I broke up with him to go to college, and we were like kind of in the like, we're talking, we're acting like we're dating, but we're not actually dating. So whatever. And then one time he just stopped talking to me. And then what made it worse is that his mom had texted me to ask about how he was or something. And then I responded being like, oh, I'm really sad. Like, I haven't heard from him. She ghosted me. So I got ghosted by him and his mom.
I say
And I'm
this
not,
with the utmost respect. Fuck that guy and fuck his mom. Are you serious?
but isn't funny? But my reason in sharing the story is because it made it actually easier. Like, it was so devastating because this was like my first love. Like, I was so close to him and his family. So it
Yeah.
was so devastating. But it made it so much easier to be like, you're a fucking asshole. I heard through the grapevine, there was like another girl that he was talking to that she didn't like that the ex-girlfriend was in the picture, which I'm like, yeah, if I knew about you, I would have been like, go off, queen. Like, I would have hated me too.
Yeah.
So I think he felt the need to like ghost because she was like, stop texting, whatever.
Mhm.
But it made me be like, I would never want to be with someone who would treat anyone carelessly like this, much less someone that you're close to.
Mhm.
So my point in saying this is like, it almost does make it easier to discount each connection that does something so shitty because then you're like, I literally dodged a bullet. Like, it really shows the kind of person that they are.
Totally. Obviously, if you have the choice in front of you, do you want this person to be nice or mean to you? You're going to choose nice. But when someone is an asshole about something, it makes it a lot easier to move
It's a
on.
lot easier. Yeah.
So I guess it's like a weird silver lining with ghosting. I am anti-ghosting. I'm not justifying it at all, but I guess it's a good way to look at it, especially for the person that asked this question. You don't want anything to do with someone like that because they're a little bitch, frankly.
Yes. Yes. But I see how it's like if you get ghosted, especially if it's like a couple times, then it starts to be like, okay, what am I doing? Now I'm going to put myself out there, take the time and energy to go on more dates just for other people to like, I understand that energetic exchange can feel really draining
Mm.
when that happens. So is there anything that you do, whether it's like a mindset or anything that makes you like, okay, because I logically understand what we're saying. Ghosting is not about me, it's about them. Fuck them. But is there anything you do to protect yourself from getting that draining reaction that this listener is feeling after feeling ghosted?
That's a good question. I would say that the way that I protect myself the most, I go into dating with the idea that it is a supplemental to my life and not the epicenter of my life. And I make a really big effort to make sure all of my other cups are full, if you will. So, like, I'm invested in work and my friends and my hobbies and my families and my own side quests and all of that type of stuff. Where if you feel really fulfilled in those parts of your life, when something like ghosting happens, it is a lot easier. I think a huge part of making sure your other cups are full is it makes you feel very confident and very sure of yourself, which in turn makes it easier to be yourself on dates. That's such like a cheesy thing to say, but because a lot of people are like, well, just be yourself on dates. And it's like, well, fuck, I've heard that 5,000 times. It's annoying. But it really does make you like more confident because a lot of the times when you go into a dating space and you're not very confident in who you are, or like you're really, really nervous or anything like that, it can make you kind of conform to how the person you're on a date because you're like, I want to impress them. You're like, I want them to like.
Totally.
And I feel like that kind of makes rejection a little bit worse because it's like, wow, I was really trying to get this person to like me and it still didn't work out. So I feel like when you go into the dating space, your life does not need to be perfect by any means to be ready to date people. But if you go into it knowing that dating is just a little sector of my life, I feel so fulfilled in other ways. And I put my energy and time into a lot of other things other than that, you will in turn feel more comfortable being your real self on a date. And then if somebody still decides to ghost you after that, obviously it's an ego bruise. Like it's gonna hurt a little bit, but I feel really okay, or something that helps me feel okay is like, you know what? Like I was being myself. I was honest with this person. And if there was something about that that they didn't like, then that's okay because I was putting my best self and my best foot forward. And if there was something about that that wasn't clicking with them, then this wasn't going to work out anyways. And it can still hurt your feelings. Like the two truths of those can exist at once. I think that there is a big idea over dating, especially with women, of like, it's supposed to be fun, it's low stakes, it doesn't matter, which I agree with. But I think that sometimes that can draw a little bit away from the fact that like it is like emotionally taxing, even if you are a really confident person and like you know that someone that ghosted you is an asshole that you probably didn't want to be around anyways. Like it can still hurt your feelings. And so if something in that vein happens to me, I always still give myself grace to be upset about it for a second. But I know that, you know what, it wasn't meant to work out anyways, because I was there trying to be the best version of who I actually am. And if they don't want that, somebody will. And that's what matters most.
I love that advice, McKenna. That's so good. When dating is just like a piece of your life instead of the main focus, then there's so much lower stakes. So then you feel less pressure. Like I interviewed Erin McGough and
Mhm.
she gave this really amazing analogy about work, but I think it really applies so well to your dating life, which she says, picture your dating life like a sandwich. Or no, back that up. Let me get this right. Okay, so it's like picture a sandwich, okay?
Mhm.
And your dating life is the tomato.
Mhm.
If the sandwich is just bread and tomato, if the tomato sucks, it's gonna make the whole sandwich sucks. Like that's a really huge bummer. But if the sandwich has lettuce, meat, cheese, veggies, all these things, if the tomato's a kind of shitty tomato, it doesn't really matter so much because you have all these other things. So like in the sandwich of your life, when dating is the tomato, if it's the main focus of your life and you get ghosted, that's going to be a really bad tomato. And you're going to be able to taste that in your sandwich that only is tomato. If
Mhm.
you get ghosted, if you have a bad tomato in your sandwich that is full of other amazing things, it's like, the tomato wasn't great, but whatever. I have so much like amazing cheese and meat. And
Yeah.
does this make sense? Do you know what I'm saying?
No, that's the perfect analogy. You basically just said what I said, but like in way simpler terms, which is and I think a lot of the times it's really easy to get, not to sound like this person, but like with social media and stuff nowadays, I know my For You page has gone through phases where it is like completely plagued with here are talking points to talk about on a first date. Here's how you manifest a boyfriend. So it feels like if you start dating, like that should be a huge part of your life. And it's like, oh, I'm doing it wrong if I'm not thinking about it this much. But we're here to say that that's not true. And dating
Yes.
can become easier if you have other great elements of your sandwich, like you were just
It's
saying.
so true. When we look at dating and relationships as one of the most amazing ways that we can learn about ourselves, rejection and difficulties become less draining because we look at them as positive, even if they don't feel good.
Mhm.
So I always think with dating, we have such a unique experience to figure out why certain things trigger us. So, like if you get ghosted, it's like, why does that feel so bad? What about that is really hurting me? Instead of spiraling into like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? Am I not worthy? It's asking like, what parts of me did this trigger?
Mm,
Maybe it's a fear of abandonment. Maybe it's like your inner teenage girl who was always overlooked and was sitting on the sidelines at the prom. Like,
mhm,
what about it is causing you that reaction? We get this like amazing opportunity to almost like hold a mirror up to ourselves to see what needs to be healed. So, I think in that case, when we look at, oh, I'm getting triggered, why is that happening? You're putting purpose behind the trigger so that it doesn't feel so like, ugh, another time that I'm getting ghosted. This sucks. I'm just suffering for no reason. This is an amazing opportunity for you to learn more about parts of yourself that needs to be healed.
mhm. Yeah. You need to clip that segment for the Instagram because that you hit the nail on the head so hard. Yeah, I think that dating is often overlooked as the learning tool, like, about yourself. The more you date, like, the more you'll learn about, like, how you are in a relationship and, like, what you need out of a relationship and your communication style and all that stuff. But beyond that, it forces you to look inward in a lot of different ways. And exactly like you said, it's like you kind of get to sit there if something happens that doesn't feel good. You're like, well, wait, what parts of me do I need to work on? It encourages you to like really look inward and be like, wow, like, why does this feel like a really soft spot for me? And of course, it's frustrating. And of course, it's hurtful. And obviously, when shit like that happens, you're like, wow, I don't want to fucking do that. Like, again, like that was really awful. But you are going to grow and learn from it, even if it takes time. And whether that's about your relationship style or about yourself, especially with dating and bringing it back to like this specific question. She was saying, or the person that asked this was saying that they had taken like a break from dating for like a long time and working on themselves. And the first person that they went on a date with was the ghoster. I, in that position, would also feel very discouraged of like, well, fuck, I'm just going to go back to what I was doing. I wasn't hurt then. So I'm going to go back to what I was doing when I didn't feel like these hurt emotions, which is human reaction to have. And girl, I'm so sorry that that happens. It's not fun, no matter how much you say here and are like, fuck them, they're an asshole. It's like, it's not fun to have happened to
It's easy for us to say "fuck them" when
exactly.
we're not
It's
the
like,
ones
it's
hurt,
not
right?
happening
Yeah.
to you, of course. It's easy to be like, yeah, whatever, you're better off without them, which is true. But I get like the emotions and the feelings that come with it.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, it's good to give yourself a second to be like, damn, that hurt my feelings. But with dating, there's a big difference in like discomfort and doing something that is genuinely like bad for you and is like harming your mental health or like your well-being. And I think that in a situation like, oh, you got ghosted by one of the first people like you went on a date with, it's like dating is gonna feel like maybe a little bit uncomfortable for a second, but it's those times when we put ourselves in uncomfortable, not compromising, but just like situations that make you antsy and a little bit like, ooh, I don't really love how this went last time, but I'm gonna try again. That's when you grow the most as a person. And uncomfortable does not equate to bad or like, oh, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this. It's a tale as old as time. Like you have to push yourself in order to grow and like to learn things and to get what you want in the end. That's important to remember is that being nervous or being uncomfortable or like, oh, I don't love how this turned out last time and I don't know if I want that to happen again. That's not the same thing as like, that was bad. Do not do that. It's really bad for you. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's so true. It's like sometimes hard to figure out the difference between like, is this just uncomfortable and I should be doing it to get happy? Or is this actually not good for me? And I think the difference is really like, it's like the cheesy question of like, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Is this right for me to date or not? It's like, if you weren't afraid of getting rejected, if you knew tomorrow you were going to find your soulmate, or if, you could get ghosted and it wouldn't even bother you at all, it wouldn't make you feel bad, would you want to date to find your person or to enjoy dating? Or are you like, even if I wasn't afraid of it, that just doesn't sound enjoyable to me to like be in a relationship? I think like that's what it comes down to is like, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Would you choose to date or would you choose not to? Am I avoiding this because I am putting that healthy boundary to protect myself, or am I avoiding something because I'm afraid and I don't want to feel that discomfort or hurt that is important to feel in order to get what I want?
Mhm. That's a pretty hard line to navigate. And I think that takes a lot of time and work and self-reflection and all that fun stuff to sort of figure out like where that line lays for you. But that's something with dating in particular. And kind of like I said earlier, we get a lot of stuff on social media nowadays talking about like dating should be really fun and like you should just be excited to go on these dates and they're low stakes and whatever. Well, I don't think that's not true necessarily. Like I get like the sentiment of it. I think that that type of, I don't want to say propaganda because that's like not what I mean, but like that type of like
It
discourse.
kind of is propaganda.
It's
Yeah.
low-key, I mean, I didn't wanna sound like too, like, extremist with it, but it is low-key propaganda. Okay, I'll say it.
Say it.
Propaganda being kinda, like, shoved in your face all the time, it makes you think that, like, something is wrong with you for being nervous or like, oh, because I'm not feeling that way, I shouldn't go on dates. Like, I don't feel super, super excited. So therefore, I'm not ready to do it. But
Yes.
girl, it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be like, wow, like, I don't really know if I want to go do this right now, but I'm going to push myself to do it. That's totally normal. If you're not jumping up and down doing cartwheels, being like, I'm just gonna get a funny story out of this, like before every day, that's okay. And it's also okay if you do that. Like everyone is different, but it's okay to be a little bit like, oh, my last date went pretty bad, or I'm not really excited about this, or I feel really nervous, or I don't know what to do. You just kind of still gotta go do it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It was a first time ghosting situation. Obviously, I don't know everything about this listener's life, but I would lean more towards it's okay to be upset about that, but it's a good thing to like keep going and to be like, I'm not going to let that deter me from going on dates anymore, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable at first.
And again, using it as a mirror for yourself of why is this so mentally hard for me? Why is this exhausting? Because, like I say this all the time with, for example, like having a busy schedule does not have to mean you're stressed. But we
Mm.
have these ideas of if this happens to me, then I have to feel a certain way. So if I'm busy, then I'm stressed. This is also true with dating of like, if I get rejected, then of course I'm going to feel really hurt. That actually doesn't have to happen. You actually don't have to feel hurt if you get rejected. You can know this is a compatibility thing. This is all about them. It doesn't actually matter. Like we were saying at the beginning, I dodged a bullet. So, what is it that's causing you to feel hurt? That is like an amazing opportunity to get to understand what wounds need to be healed.
Yeah.
And I think that would make it like a lot less, like, I know she's really mentally exhausted. And I'm like, I hear you. I get it. I think that would make it a lot less draining and mentally hard to look at it like it's a learning tool for you instead of hoping that you never face rejection and you never get ghosted and that every time you do it hurts. I think that kind of it flips the script. You know, you become
Mhm.
like the heroine of your story instead of the victim.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if I have a lot to add to that. You kind of just nailed it. Like,
And period.
you did not stutter.
I am a big fan of the afternoon drink. It is that sweet treat in the afternoon that helps you get through your workday, romanticize your afternoons, or get energy for your evening workout. And I have discovered a hack that not only makes my afternoon iced latte more delicious, but packs in more protein. Clean Simple Eats protein powder has transformed my afternoon coffee because with flavors like Simply Vanilla, Coconut Cream, Mint Chocolate Chip, or Caramel Toffee, mixing a scoop in with your coffee makes it taste like your favorite decadent drink from a cafe, except with 20 grams of protein. And you know, I'm all about treating your body like a temple, so while it tastes like you're having a delicious caramel macchiato or vanilla latte, Clean Simple Eats protein powder is sweetened naturally with stevia and monk fruit. It's 100% grass fed, whey protein isolate, and free from artificial sweeteners, colors, and flavors. And it's non GMO and third party tested. Go to cleansimpleeats.com and use code EVERYGIRL20 to get 20% off your first order. Trust me, it is a wellness upgrade that will also be the highlight of your day.
Especially when you're first starting to date at all or like getting back into dating after a long time. Really just be in touch with how you feel in the moment. It's a lot easier said than done, but like don't be so preoccupied with like how are they going to feel about me? What are they thinking right now? Or I really want to impress this person. Like just do your best to go into it with the mindset. Maybe this isn't great advice, but it's funny, so I'll say it. This person is either going to be the love of my life and we're going to get married and it's going to be beautiful and amazing, or I'm going to learn something about myself. And I think
Yes. McKenna, I think that's great advice.
okay,
It's true.
I'm swinging a little bit too extreme, but I think sometimes thinking in that more like extreme mindset is helpful to, it's almost like satirical in a way. It's just kind of like,
Yes.
well, it's one or the other. And so it's gonna be fine. Like,
Yeah, that it's like a win-win either way. Either I'm gonna learn something or they're gonna be the love of my life. Either way, win-win, literally.
exactly.
I love. Anything else to add? That was all great advice.
If you are thinking of ghosting someone, even if it's after only one date, don't do it. Just don't. You don't owe them your life story. You don't need to explain everything that you didn't like about them, but just shoot them a text, even if it's after one date or two dates or however, no matter the timeline. just don't ghost people. Break the stigma. I feel like it's a little bit accepted nowadays, and it shouldn't
So
be.
true.
So break
So
the
true.
cycle, girls. Don't do it. And if someone that you're dating does it to you, come back and listen to this again.
Just re-listen.
Yeah,
It's so true. Okay, so if you're seeing someone, if you go on one date, for sure, no ghosting is okay. What if you're like off the app talking? Is the water murky? Is it still bad to ghost?
Do you mean like if I were to like meet somebody in person?
What about this scenario? Okay,
Like,
you meet someone through a friend. It's like a friend of a friend. You've never been on a date, but maybe like met during a night out and you were texting for like a week. Because I have a friend that had this exact thing. You're texting constantly for 2 weeks, but you never like you had met in person, but you never went on a date. Okay, you're not going to ghost after that.
ooh, that's a good one. If I was the person in that scenario who I was texting them and then kind of got the vibe, like, I don't think I wanna go on a date, I don't think I would ghost solely because of the fact that there is a big likelihood that I will see them in person again. So I probably would just text them and be like, "Hey." Oh god, I would probably write like 45 drafts of it in my notes app. Like I said, and send it to like my group chat and be like, "Guys, is this okay?" Like the girls would be editing it without a doubt. But it would be something along the lines of like, "Hey, like I've been thinking about it and like I'm not really in a place to date, or I think it'd be better if we just like remain friends," anything in that vein. That's a little bit more of a complex situation. Probably am gonna see them in real life again, but I stand by that I wouldn't ghost. I think that whether it's someone that you're gonna go on a date with or like you've been on a date with, or if you've just seen them in person, you're gonna see them again in person most likely. It's so much better to just like clear it out. If you decide to ghost and then you're hanging out with that mutual friend and you see them at a party like a month later,
So
then
awkward. Yeah.
then it's awkward for everybody involved. When, like, it
Yeah.
could when just a simple, like, "Hey, it's better than ghosting someone," and if they take intense offense to that, we're like, "Oh, well, why were you texting me in the first like, blah, blah, blah," whatever. That's more sorry if it sounds harsh, but, like, that's more of a them problem at
Yeah.
that.
That's
But if
their
you were to
ego is
ghost
bruised. Yes.
exactly. But if you were to ghost, you're entitled to feel how you want, and people can't really be mad at that, but people do have the right to be upset with how you're, like, behaving. I think the only time that I really am like, fine, ghost them is if they do something that's really off-putting or just like
Mm.
they say something really fucked up or do something that makes you feel really, really, really uncomfortable. Maybe not everyone would agree with me, but I think if it's a situation like that, then it's okay to just leave it and not say
Yeah.
anything. You don't owe them something at that point. If they've like intensely disrespected you or made you feel really bad or like, God forbid, like unsafe, you don't owe them shit at that
I
point.
totally agree with that.
It's like, no, like, fuck them, who cares?
Yeah. I
I think
completely
that's the only
agree.
time that I would be like, yeah, ghost them. It doesn't
Yeah.
you don't
They're not worth your breath after
they're yeah,
that.
they're not
Yeah.
with your breath. They didn't respect you, so, like, you don't need to respect them at that point.
100%. If you feel disrespected, there's no need to respect them.
Period.
This has also happened to me with friends where they will kind of be like talking to someone and maybe they've been on like a very casual date. Maybe it was more of like they just saw each other out with friends. They're just like flirty texting. And then the guy will message them and be like, "Hey, so I'm just feeling like more of a friendship vibe." And technically, that is more the right thing to do. But
Yeah.
then we're kind of like, fuck this guy. I'm sorry. The audacity. Did you really think I was more into you than you were into me? You are assuming that I'm really into you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I have had situations, like, with friends and that happen that are, like, kinda similar to that, and yeah, that shit's really annoying. I'm assuming this is, like, straight men doing this to women. But I think that when guys do that, it's just a way to, like, establish dominance in a way because they have big, fat egos, and they're all whatever, I'm not gonna say they're all bad, but that's a conversation for another day. But, like, it's recording. But I think that's another thing where you can kind of take the mindset that we were talking about earlier of like, okay, wow, this really isn't someone that I want anything to do with anyways, because that's such like a weird power play and like dominance thing and just trying to make them seem like they were the ones controlling of the situation. A great way to respond to someone doing that is just replying like, okay, oh, that's okay. Like, I wasn't feeling it in that way either.
Yeah, I'd be like, wait, what do you mean romantic? I thought we were just friends.
Yeah,
Really
exactly. I
gets
mean,
their
that's what
ego.
wants, just something like short and sweet. Don't feed into it in a way. Don't give them the satisfaction. I've had that happen a couple of times with people I
Yeah.
know. And it's like, dog, like, what the fuck? It's like, I don't. It's so weird. It's so weird.
It's so
And it's really
weird.
like they, a lot of the times in my experiences, they're the ones that like approach my friends first, or like they
Exactly.
are like flirt fucking McGee over here. And then it's like, oh, she was all over me. It's like, what?
That's exactly the situation I'm thinking of. It's like, he's coming on to her being so like, oh my God, can I get your number? Blah, blah, blah. And then they're like texting constantly. He's the one texting. And then a week later, it's like, so just wanted to establish that we're just friends, as if he like gets this pat on the back for being such a good guy because he didn't ghost. And it's like, no, this is a very different situation. And
Very different.
I'm sorry, like women just don't move like that. And for everyone, I hate when people are like, there's a double standard. Of course, there's a double standard. There's a double reality, especially in these situations. No matter who you're dating, you definitely feel the intuitive difference of like, is this out of respect for like, I'm doing the right thing by not ghosting? I want to be honest and let you know. And that's the right thing to do. You feel that intuitively versus the, I just want to like knock you down a peg and feed my own ego by being the one to reject you first.
Mhm.
They're very different things. And I would
Yes.
argue that it is more commonly men that are doing the second option.
150%. I go as far to say it's almost exclusively men. Yeah, I think that men hate the idea of not being in control and in a position of like, I don't know how this girl feels about me, or like how she interpreted me flirting with her, and she's not making it clear, and I don't want to be the one that's pining or seeming like I'm falling, whatever. And so they'll just say shit like that. And yeah, on paper, like it's better than ghosting. It's like the lesser evil, I guess. It's still
Yeah.
still annoying, but I guess it's better than a ghosting situation.
You know what this is kind of reminding me of?
Yeah.
In Love Island, I know you watch Love Island, which by the way, I'm not caught up. I'm like 3 episodes behind. So I know, I don't know. I know.
Girl. Okay. Oh my God. Honestly, kind of good that you're 3 episodes behind, because if you were caught up, like we genuinely would have to make this 2 hours, because the past 3 episodes in particular are going to, like, respectfully, I'll leave it at this. I love reality TV. It's a vice of mine, if you will. I think the past 3 to 4 episodes of Love Island have been like one of the best runs of reality TV like ever. It's so good.
Wait, McKenna, I'm so pissed because my fiance's going out of town for just 2 days, but I cannot watch the show without him. Like that would be like grounds
No,
for
what if
breakup.
you didn't tell him that you
I
watched
just
the
tell him.
show?
I honestly should, and then I'll just rewatch it. Yeah, maybe I'll do that because I'm like,
I'm not
now
trying
I
to
need.
instigate or have you be unloyal to your TV watching schedule, but I wouldn't tell anyone if you decided to watch.
You kind of talked me into it. He would only know if he listened to this episode, which he probably will, but not my problem at that point.
That's a problem for
But
future
it's
Josie. And once
that's
he
for
watches
future
it, he'll
Josie.
understand. He'll be
He'll
like, I get
understand.
this.
Yes.
Yeah,
If
it's
he really
crazy.
loves me, he will understand that I needed to watch Love Island before he got back. I think that's
Exactly.
so
That's
fair.
what a fiance is for. So
No, yes.
understanding in situations like that.
But it's reminding me of, I mean, this was now for you a few episodes back, but when Ace, after he picks, she's new, so I forget her name. Amaya, is that her name?
Yeah.
She's new for me. So when he picks her and then like right after he has to be like, I just want to let you know, like I don't really like feel a vibe. And I'm not an Amaya fan yet.
Mhm.
No, I don't know what happens in the next 3 episodes, but I'm not like a
Mhm.
huge fan of hers. But it kind of is
Yeah.
giving that to me where it's like, you were the one who picked me. And you're needing to be like, by the way, I don't vibe there. Like, why do men do that? It's so weird.
It's so weird. And then if I'm remembering correctly, there's so much footage with Love Island. I'm like, that feels like it happened like 8 years ago. But if I'm remembering correctly, I remember that Amaya was like before Ace said that, she was kind of getting like frustrated with the way that he was acting. And then he like said all that. And then she was confused because she was like, well, you picked me. And like at first you were being all flirty. And then it turned into this whole thing of like, Amaya's crazy.
Yes.
It's so like manipulative and weird. And I never side with the man, and I'm not siding with Ace. Like in this case, the only justification I'll give him is, if I'm remembering correctly, he like had to pair up with somebody because it's Love Island. And so
Right.
he's like, I'll go with Amaya because there's no one else really available.
Yeah, it's not like they had like a connection that was like he was
Yeah,
really pursuing her.
exactly. Like
That's
she
true.
was new, he was single, they were recoupling, boom. So that's kind of
Couldn't
what.
he have picked Shelly? Like, wasn't Shelly not picked yet?
Ooh, maybe.
I forget,
Yeah.
but from my memory, because I remember thinking, being like, why didn't he pick Shelly? It seems like he likes Shelly so much more. But maybe at
Yeah.
that point, she and Austin were so much more coupled up that he like didn't want to step
Yeah.
on Austin's toes. I don't know. I really don't know.
There's so
But
many
God, the
moving parts in that whole
dynamics.
situation. But I think the sentiment of like the fact that he chose her and then pulled her aside and was like, I'm not really feeling this. And then she maybe acted a little bit rash, but the fact that it kind of got turned into like, oh my God, she's crazy. Like, why is she so upset by this? You were the one that picked her. And like, we're like,
Yes.
interest. Of course, things can change, but at the same time, two truths can exist at once. Like, yeah, you can change your mind and like decide that, like, oh, maybe I'm not really feeling Amaya, but then to spin it in a way of she's crazy. It's like, no, she also has the right to be upset by that and be like, well, you were confusing me.
I hate when people use the word gaslighting because it really is so overused. But
Mhm.
in this instance of when men do this, that is gaslighting to be like, I'm pursuing you, I'm reaching out, and then you're just rightfully responding to the validation I'm giving you. And then all of a sudden it's the switcheroo of like, wait, whoa, I don't really like you like that. You initiated all of this. Don't flatter yourself, pal. Like, I didn't
Mhm.
choose you. You chose me.
Generally speaking, men just have such a problem with like accountability and like owning up to the fact that like they have maybe done something that wasn't super thought through or like just did something quote unquote wrong. Like most of the time in a dating or like romantic situation, men like cannot admit that. And they know that the societal norm a lot of the time is like women are crazy. Women will get really worked up over something that isn't a big deal. Even if I'm just communicating to her, like she's going to act insane, and that's a thing that's kind of like unfortunately accepted by a lot of people. And so they'll spin it in a way of like, well, I was just being honest with how I felt. And now that she's acting crazy, like that's her problem because of the patriarchy and whatnot. Once again, different episode. But
Oh
in
my
terms of
God.
gaslighting, I don't want to spoil anything, but the amount of gaslighting you were about to see over the next 3 to 4 episodes, Josie, Josie,
Stop.
take a half day, get
Okay,
on there.
literally.
Pull
Yeah, I'm like,
out
should I like stop working for the day and start watching TV?
Yeah.
Probably.
It's so insane.
The scene, I just watched this one last night. Again, I know it's older for you, but I'm a mom.
Mommy,
Mamacita,
mommy,
mommy.
mommy.
This is why AI actually can't take over our lives because AI could not have written that script.
You
Okay. That
can't
was like,
a robot cannot
gold.
make that shit up. Like,
No, a robot couldn't make
crazy.
that up.
It's crazy. Yeah,
A mom
that
of
was a
what?
funny
A
story.
dog?
A dog? Oh, a baby? Actual human child? He was refusing to comprehend it. It was incredible. Like,
It
it
was
was
just like the most like word salady 30 seconds. It was so good.
my friends and I have literally, like, been saying that to each other, like, "Mommy, mamacita," like, since we watched that
Mamacita?
episode. There's so many good sound bites from it. They really do. My friends and I were joking the other day, literally yesterday, we were talking about it, that Love Island, if it doesn't win the Emmy for best casting in a reality series, it was rigged. It was rigged.
Literally
Like, they cast the
rigged.
perfect storm of people. It's so good.
Are you liking this cast as much as last year's?
Yes, I will say once again, not to spoil, the past couple of episodes have made me feel like, oh, it's different than last season, but I like it more than
Okay.
yeah.
I like
I'm
to hear that.
vibing
I like to
with
hear that.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Shelly is my girl. I love Shelly. I love
Molly
Alondria.
Landria.
Those are my
I
2 faves.
I am an Alandria stan through and through. This is
I love
also a more
Alondria.
niche take, but I'm on this part of like TikTok and Twitter that ships Nick and Alandria so hard. And it sounds crazy, but just watch them. Like little things. Like I got the seed planted in my mind and I'm like, friends to lovers trope down. Like, are you serious? Slow burn, perhaps an unexpected turn down the line. They're moving on Villa time, so who's just
Ooh,
I don't know.
who's to say?
So
Maybe
yeah,
I'll take a
watch
sick
that.
day and get caught up.
Do whatever you need to do at lightning speed and sit down and watch it.
Okay.
It's so good. It's so good.
I feel like we need to have a whole recap episode later in the
I
season.
would not say no to that. And I probably would have like a notebook page of thought about it. If you want to do that, I'm a Slack message away. I'm so down.
I love it.
My friends and I were watching it like live and it was like we were watching the Super Bowl. We were like standing on the couch like screaming. We were like, holy shit. Yeah. The fact that we can still actively vote in the show is what has made it so much fun.
I know. I want to get caught up so that I can vote and
You
be
have
involved
to
in
vote
it.
on the app.
I
Like,
just don't know how people keep up with watching every single day of the week.
yeah. I wouldn't say it's something I'm proud of that I'm caught up. It's an hour a night. It's kind of a steep commitment, but somehow I found a way to be free at 6 p.m. Every night.
Listen, as I
Somehow
always
I'm not-
say, don't say I don't have time to. Say it's not my priority to. So I have
It's
to
not my
start saying it
priority.
is my priority to watch Love Island tonight.
And you know what? If that makes me the villain, sue me. Sue me. That's okay.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Please leave us a 5-star review and let us know what you're enjoying about the show. I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic too. Have you been ghosted? Have you ever ghosted? Is ghosting ethically wrong? I want all your thoughts. So leave us a comment on Spotify or an Apple review. And I'm going to go catch up on Love Island. I'll talk to you on Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know I sure did. Please do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really makes a huge difference for our show so we can keep growing and bringing the content that you love. If you want more info, you can find us at The Everygirl Podcast on Instagram or at theeverygirlpodcast.com. Talk to you next week.